No blacks, no Jews, no gays. High up in the Ozark Hills in the state of Arkansas, dozens of people have been working hard, building houses and a new type of community.
Sir, what? I almost can't believe this is real, but it is. We're going to talk about a story reported on by Sky News and then recirculated by NBC News about a whites-only community in Arkansas that's cropping up, and it's a real doozy. Guys, let's watch this reporting and then discuss.
No blacks, no Jews, no gays. High up in the Ozark Hills in the state of Arkansas, dozens of people have been working hard, building houses and a new type of community. It's called Return to the Land, and it is a town open to white people only. They are millennials and Gen Z, and this is a new update of age-old prejudice.
What we've done here is establish a place where we have control over who our neighbors are, and that is just for the sake of preserving, our culture.
And that culture, effectively, we're saying this is a white culture, a whites-only place.
White American culture.
But what this sounds like is bringing back segregation. Is that a fair assessment?
It's free association. So we're not trying to keep other people down. This is a small settlement in the middle of the Ozarks.
But they are being kept out, even if...
you don't let everyone into your home.
Around 40 people live here. Hundreds more from across the world have paid to be members. And while the men do the physical labour, the women take care of the children who live here full time. It could be a very loving community if you're part of the community, but if you're black, or if you're Jewish, or if you're gay, you can't be part of that community.
They can have their own communities, and they already do.
You might be wondering how any of this can be legal. Return to the Land is structured as a private members association, which they believe allows them to discriminate on the basis of ethnicity, along with other factors. That has yet to be tested in the courts and may well fail. The Arkansas Attorney General has said his office is now reviewing the matter as a result of our reporting, and that there is no room for racial discrimination in Arkansas or anywhere in a free society.
So on one hand, this story is kind of hilarious just because of how blatant and diabolical it all is. The no blacks, no Jews, no gays tagline. Sir, what? I almost can't believe this is real, but it is. The comments on Instagram on this video were kind of funny. Somebody wrote, "Damn, even the dog white." Another person said, "What's the local cuisine? Mayonnaise sandwiches." Another person wrote, "Return to the land," as if they're natives to the Americas. Another person said, "Folks who pride themselves on their own race typically have never achieved anything else in their lives to be proud of." I mean, I have to agree with the pushback. Everything about this little community is giving cult to me. It's giving Jim Jones. It's giving very dark ending. I don't know. I guess I'm speculating there, but nothing about this seems normal, healthy, or okay to me. I also think there's a layer of incoherence to it all. What is white? Who counts as white? What percentage of non-white ethnicity do you have to be disqualified from being white? What even is white culture? All of this is like a bizarre version of race essentialism that I think I just entirely reject. I don't think being white is really even a distinct or definable category. Who is and who isn't white is changing, is fluid. I don't think there is one white culture that white people all participate in or adhere to. And I think there's absolutely nothing about not being white or about being gay or about being Jewish that makes you, a dangerous or unacceptable person to have as a neighbor. And I think it's a remarkably close-minded and ignorant worldview that suggests otherwise. Now, this community is actually seeking to expand into the state of Missouri. So we've got the Hill here. Whites Only Community seeks Missouri expansion. A whites-only group called Return to the Land, derided by critics as racist and anti-Semitic. Are they derided as critics as racist and anti-Semitic? Or are they literally just racist if you say no blacks, no Jews, is the racism and anti-Semitism an allegation at that point or a fact. But anyway, I continue. A whites-only group called Return to the Land is looking to expand its reach from its base in northern Arkansas to an area near Springfield, Missouri, a co-founder of the group said recently. The prospect of a growing whites-only community where members are evaluated based on European ancestry and where Jews are denied membership is raising concerns among state and local officials and activist groups. This is wild because what about white European Jews? So not even all whites are allowed. Only whites who have the right belief or aren't the bad religion. Like, this is wild to me. RTTL, which describes itself as a private member association, began in development in 2023 on its base in northern Arkansas, which sits on 160 acres of land. A co-founder of the group, Eric Orwell, told KOLR that he hopes to expand soon to an area of land outside Springfield and eventually all 50 states. We want to ensure that white Americans who value their ancestry will have the ability to live among like-minded people in the future if they choose to, regardless of demographic changes. Here is the big problem. This is the exact same broken and distorted thinking behind progressive identity politics because it conflates race, which is just an immutable trait, with your worldview or your perspective. So, for example, when college woke activists say we need affirmative action because we need to have people with different perspectives, and a black person in the room and a white person, they'll have different perspectives. They're conflating physical characteristics with your worldview. There is no reason to believe that white Americans are like-minded. That is not true. White people have all sorts of different political, religious, philosophical, societal worldviews and perspectives. There is no white perspective. So this idea that you are aligning with people who share your values because you're white, no, you're not. And there's no values you can associate or map on to whiteness. This is incoherent. There are many people of different races with whom I have much closer values and overlap with than white people, certain white people who are the total opposite of my values, like a Bernie Sanders or someone. This does not make sense. There's also the legal question to this all that like the reporting says, will have to be litigated in court, but I don't really understand how this can be legal under federal civil rights laws that apply to housing to exclude people on the basis of religion or race from your community. I'm more prepared, though, to comment on the morality of it all. I just find it disgusting. And one of the defenses I've heard is, well, they have black communities and the gay people have community and other things. Not really, not like this. I mean, and more to the point, if you were to show me a black only community, I would be saying that's wrong to exclude white people. And you would be too. But now you're using this whataboutism to justify this. I just don't buy that two wrongs make a right. And that feels like a stretch to me. Now, of course, professional contrarian Matt Walsh had to defend this because he just has to be edgy or whatever. He wrote in tweets, if you don't have the right to build a community on a private piece of land and live around the sorts of people you want to live around, then you don't have any rights at all. This is as basic and fundamental as rights can possibly get. Freedom of association. No black person is being deprived of anything or harmed in any way. This is not taking anything away from anyone or preventing anyone from exercising their own freedom of association. In a free country, a whites-only community shouldn't be controversial enough to even be worth debating. Of course, they have the right, and if any other race or ethnicity wants to do the same, and they all have in one form or another, they have the right to as well. So on multiple levels, this is just untrue, and it is totally inconsistent with what Matt Walsh and people like him say otherwise, because they rightly critique DEI and other left-wing ideas about race and things as discrimination against white people, and that is wrong and that is illegal. And yet now they're saying, well, it's actually fine in this case, and you're not really free if you don't have the right to. So are you just saying you want to repeal the whole Civil Rights Act? I don't. And I don't accept the idea that you don't live in a free society unless you're free to have a whites only community. What are you talking about? You can absolutely have a free society where people are free to speak, live how they like, but are not free to racially discriminate. We do and have for decades. These things aren't remotely incompatible. And the idea that, oh, it's just a basic fundamental right to start a community and ban Black people, Matt Walsh would never have that same energy when we're talking about, in fact, he has explicitly railed against places that try to do minority only businesses, minority only communities, minority only scholarships or programs. And he would absolutely argue that that takes something away from white people, but now he just does a 180 here. And I truly think it's just a desire to be contrarian. It's just a desire to be edgy and defend the indefensible for no other reason than to bring attention to yourself and stir the pot, which increasingly seems to be the only thing he stands for. I mean, it's just totally inconsistent with his beliefs and worldview and everything he has espoused when it comes to DEI and progressive racial discrimination against white people. He rails against that, but then when white people want to discriminate, he's like, actually, that's fine. It doesn't make any sense. The hypocrisy is astounding, and I personally will like to go on the record against racially segregated communities in 2025, in all cases, across the board. But that's just me.